right, what's going on, everyone? You got Left Eye Ego here. I am joined again by the Stuntman, and today we're going to be talking some Wakanda Forever or Forever Wakanda as a football. First of all, Stuntman, how we doing?
Good, man. How are you doing, man? I hope you're having a great weekend. Having a good time with the family, man.
It's going great, man. All right. Shout out to Stuntman and Mrs. Stuntman. They celebrated their anniversary. What
Yeah,
was it? Thursday.
it was Friday actually.
It was Friday, and since this Mr. Stuntman is also part of the armed services, they celebrated their birthday as well. So he's having all kinds of anniversaries to celebrate. And I know that
Sure.
there's some ink that you said that you caught. We're going to see that when it's finished, because I heard you.
Absolutely.
Yes, so we'll definitely have to see that as well. But my man has had a great week, and it's about to get ruined by my Cowboys
Yeah,
on,
yeah.
on it's about to go down, about to give Green
Uh,
Bay yet another L to the record as we sweep through the NFC North. But before we get to all that, I know that all the listeners that I've had with Abomination AJ, we talked about Black Panther 2, Wakanda Forever, and I referenced Mr. Stuntman and saying that he actually went to see the movie. So some of the thoughts and opinions I had on the stream earlier were from what the Stuntman told me. So I actually want to give everyone else the chance to hear some of the things that I heard. So, Mr. Stuntman, if you can, please walk us through as thoroughly as you can, because you told me it was a convoluted story. Please walk me through as thoroughly as you can the Black Panther 2 Wakanda Forever movie.
all right, man. Well, so obviously, okay. So I went to go see Black Panther on November 10th.
Okay.
One of the first showings, like I guess before the actual, I guess before Friday or whatever. So I saw it on Thursday, and uh, it was a pretty packed theater. Um,
Okay.
so the movie
I,
begins.
I, I don't want to interrupt. Were people in dashikis? Was that really happening?
There was one or two people, I think it was two people in like the gowns that
The white gowns?
not the white gown.
Okay.
It was like the gowns that not even a gown. It's like one of those suits that it's like I don't know how to say it, but like one of those African suits that like
A
T'Challa
dashiki.
wore in the first movie
A dashiki.
with
That's
with
a long dashiki, right?
yeah with sandals and the whole nine.
Go ahead, man. I'm sorry. I just wanted to see if people were really doing that. Go ahead, man.
Oh, they were, yeah. Well, so the movie starts, with Shuri. She is in her lab, and what she's doing is she's trying to duplicate the magic herb
Okay.
that was burned to the ground by Killmonger. And the reason she was doing that is because T'Challa is dying. At the moment he's dying. Like she has her AI giving her, up to the minute, like what's his heart rate, what's his heart rate, da da da, this and that. So she's not with her family with T'Challa. She's in the lab trying to figure out if she can replicate the heart shaped herb. So unfortunately, we all know that Chadwick Boseman died. So in the
Hmm.
movie, he passes away, but he passes away from a disease that is not named, and it's weird because they just don't ever say what he died of. He just died. But my big question was is he'd already had the power of the Black Panther. That's how he was able to fight Killmonger. So I don't understand why she was trying to duplicate the power of the Black Panther. He already had it. So that was something I was confused with. I'm like, he'd already taken it. So, but obviously they want to make it, because he's gone, he has to die somehow, some way in the movie. So that's how they decided on doing it. But
Okay.
that's how they do it. Okay. And not to jump too far ahead, but after it jumps from, T'Challa died, they do the funeral. It's very traditional according to, several of the cultures in Africa, which is cool. Um, it breaks and it goes into the Atlantic Ocean. There's a
Okay.
huge ship. There's a huge ship in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, and what they're doing is it's a night operation, and they are looking for vibranium. So,
Wait, who's looking for vibranium?
so the U.S. government is looking for vibranium
Okay.
in the Atlantic Ocean because there is an MIT student who has developed a machine that would be able that can now find vibranium on Earth. So this person has already, you know, made this huge technology, machine that will help people, the government in the future. So
Okay.
they're down there in the middle of the Atlantic, and uh, while they're down there, there's special forces and all kinds of people on the boat. Well, they have two people, two divers, go down all the way to the Atlantic, down to the floor, it looks like. And there's this giant machine down there that's actually looking for the vibranium. It helps them find it. And then they actually show a huge amount of vibranium in the ocean,
Just sitting there?
like stuck in the ground. So, so they're like, yes, finally, we found vibranium. But literally, like 2 seconds afterwards, you see someone swimming around,
Excuse me.
and then they both go gone right off the map. And then
Okay.
then it kind of breaks, and it shows like all these like people swimming in the ocean. They're swimming towards that giant ship, and then like you see there's probably about 8 or 9 uh, men and women that stick their heads out of the ocean. They're like sirens. They start singing like this hypnotic like song in their
Mhm.
native language, and what it's doing is causing these people on the boat to like start jumping off the ship.
That's
So
pretty cool.
that's
That's
pretty
kind of
cool. Yeah.
that's kind
So
of
it's
cool.
pretty
Yeah.
cool. So there's a couple of people that put headphones on real quick, and they block their hearing, and they're trying to like stop from jumping off the boat. But once they do that, there's all these underwater people swimming up to the boat. They get off the boat and start killing whoever's on there, trying to protect the vibranium. So
Okay.
long story short, they kill everybody that's on the ship, and then they kill people trying to escape on a helicopter, right? So
Okay. Are we talking like ultra violent deaths, or just like it's assumed that if you do someone just goes down?
just assume they go down. Yeah. Well,
Okay,
like
got
it's pretty cool because
it.
like there's a helicopter that actually takes off, and it's going, and then you just kind of you hear the guy go, hey, the plane is slowing down, like it's pulling us back and being pulled back, and it's Namor, and he's pulling the back part of the helicopter, and he like starts twirling it, throws it into the ocean, which is pretty cool.
That's pretty
And then
cool.
he
Okay.
then he floats down. He floats down, and that's kind of like his first appearance in Marvel movies. So
Okay.
so after so they've now introduced Namor, um, and the story gets a little like more convoluted because um, Shuri has to go to the States. Shuri has to go to the States and find out why there are people, you know, in no, I'm sorry, excuse me. So what happens is so Shuri's very upset. She's very disgruntled
Distraught.
and very bitter. No, she's actually bitter. She's
Oh
bitter.
wow. Okay.
She's very bitter because she couldn't save her brother, and she's very mad. She's mad at the gods because she thought Boss would be able
Oh.
to would save her brother,
Okay.
even though she doesn't really believe in the gods. She does. She's like Tony Stark. She's exactly like Tony Stark. She believes in science. She believes if he has the tools, he can fix anything. So that's how she feels. So she's really jaded. So
Okay.
while she's in the lab, Rwanda, her mom, comes up to her and says, "Hey, we're gonna go take a walk. You need to leave your
Stuff
laboratory for
behind.
a little while. We're gonna go on a walk, and we're gonna do a quick you know ritual." So she takes Shuri down to this little river uh, on the outside of Wakanda. They're doing this little ritual where what they're gonna do is they're gonna burn their mourning dresses that they wore during T'Challa's
Oh.
death. So
Okay.
so that's how they get over their mourning. They've moved on from the mourning, and now they can live their lives. But while they're there, Namor, he can swim through oceans, waters, lakes, whatever. As long as there's a connection to the ocean, he can get into there. So he swims underneath the what is it? It's the little bubble that they got.
Gold that dome or whatever,
You
that
know, he swims
vibranium
underneath
dome.
the, yeah, he's able to go underneath the dome, and he's in the
He
you know,
swam. He pulled up on Ramunda and the daughter, like Shuri, like that. Just
dude,
pulled
like
up on him.
dude, in the middle of in the middle of the night, and you know, this is the part where you see in the commercial, he says, "Hey, my name is Namor, da da da, this and that." He says, and this is the first time he talks to Wakandans. He says, "Hey, this is, you know, your son's fault, T'Challa, for giving the rest of the world knowledge of vibranium and wanting to help everybody. Now, what they're trying to do is look for vibranium anywhere, and there is vibranium in the Atlantic Ocean. But unfortunately, where they're looking for that vibranium is literally right on top of Talokan, where they're underwater villages. So he wants to protect this village, and he can't do that if people are looking for vibranium. So he gives them an ultimatum.
Okay.
He says, I need you to find the scientist who built this machine, and I will kill her or him. I will kill him or her because we can't have them making any more machines. And then he said, if you don't, I will destroy Wakanda, pretty much. So, so, uh, so they go, so they go back home and they're talking about, you know, who's this scientist, da da da, this and that. They don't know who it is, but Shuri goes to, I forget what that little, the white agent is for
Yeah,
Shield.
yeah. I need the colonizer.
The colonizer, yeah, and that's what
Yeah,
they call him. They call him the colonizer in the movie.
they really do call him that. They still call
Yeah,
him that.
Shuri, when she sees him for the first time, she goes, "It's my favorite colonizer." So they call it, yeah. So they call him a colonizer. So what she does is says, "Hey, you owe me a favor. We have been approached by someone you have no idea about. He's very powerful, and he's threatened Wakanda. We need information." And he's like, "Well, what's the information?" So they're like, "We need to know who the scientist is who built to look for vibranium." So
Okay.
he's like, "I can't give you that information. It's top secret." Da da da. This and that. She's like, "Look, you owe me. You owe my brother. Tell me." So he tells her, right? He tells her, but he also tells her, "Hey, look, she's being watched. She's, you know, she's very important to us, to everyone now, since she's so bright, brilliant, you know." So this is when you cut to Boston. She's at MIT. She has it's Shuri and then Okoye, the bald headed one,
Yeah.
Michelle from Walking Dead. So she's so they're there. They're following her, and then this is where they go get into her room and they're like, "Hey, we need you to come with us, blah blah blah, this and that. You know, we need to find out why you built this machine for the U.S. government." And this is when she like pretty much says, "Well, it was just a school project that ended up being something more important. It ended up just being a school project. Like she made it seem like it was no big deal. Like, oh, it's no big deal, whatever." So
Did they even say how she? Well,
no,
it just. Oh my God! Keep going, man. I'm
she
sorry,
just said
man.
it was.
Oh my
She
God!
just said it was a school project that they made for MIT, and she got an A on it. That was it. She didn't think anything about it after the machine was made. So she said she made it out of pretty much boxes of scraps. You know, she pretty much made it out of scraps, and you know, and it's one of the craziest machines you can have. And so, and it's weird because she's still a college student, but she didn't make any money off of it. It seems like she's pretty, like, they just took her idea, you know, and now she's still, I mean,
She didn't
whatever.
like it. Okay, she's
Yeah. So this
poor
is where you
Iron Man.
start.
Okay.
This is where you see when you start seeing the, you know, like in the trailers, the chases in the cars, and then you see the actual Talawakans jump out of the ocean into onto the streets because
Yeah.
what they're doing is so they've been following Shuri as well, the Talawakans, you know, so they know where she's at too because
Even though they told her to find her, they still knew where she was.
they knew where she was. Everything they have is vibranium. Everything in, you know, his all his jewelry, all the Namor's jewelry, his suit is all um vibranium.
Are you
So
serious?
yes, it's made out of vibranium. Everything that he's wearing. So so they fight in the street. They fight. You know, uh, Michelle, whatever her name is. I forget her name. She gets her ass kicked. By
Really?
dude, she gets fucking destroyed. Yeah,
By a blue chick?
yeah, no, by the dude. It's weird they had a dude beat her up. I thought
You
the
said
chick would beat her up. Yeah, they gave this dude.
quality. Okay.
Yeah, so I mean, he beats the crap out of her, and then Shuri's like, "Please save her life, but take me, and keep me as your prisoner." So okay, whatever. They're like, you know what? We'll take you, and we'll take Riri Williams,
Of
who is
course. Yeah.
we're going to take both of you, and then you're going to meet Namor. So they take her. They travel on whales, on orcas. It's fucking. It looks.
That sounds pretty cool. That
It's
does.
pretty
That sounds
fucking cool how they do
that's
it.
pretty cool.
And they also travel on whales. It's not. It's and I'll tell you what. It's nothing like Aquaman. Like
Okay.
how even though like they have vibranium and it's super tech, dude. Their whole village is all like Aztec. You know, like
So do
Native
they
American.
go under to come back up?
Dude, they go under. Yeah.
Okay.
So like even in their villages also like they're playing like when they show the village actually like you have kids playing handball like old school like how they did man it looks badass like the way they really did it with all the Native American and
Hmm.
the Mesoamerican man really cool but
Okay. All
anyway
right.
so so they go and they take her so Rwanda finds out her daughter was taken.
Okay.
And Okoye comes back to Wakanda going, hey, look, I lost your daughter. We need to go find her. This is where it kind of gets weird because Angela Bassett, Rwanda, she gets so pissed off at Okoye for losing her daughter that she actually fires her. She takes her off she takes her from what's it
The Dora
called?
Milaje?
She literally fires her from the Dora Milaje and says, "You're nobody now. Like you've lost my daughter. I lost my family. You know, you took this risk, this unnecessary risk to take my daughter. You're out." So she kicks her out. Literally kicks her out, fires her out of the
Okay.
palace and everything. So, so what she does now, what Wanda does is she goes to look for a spy, and the best spy that they had was uh, Nakia, which was T'Challa's
Girlfriend in the
girlfriend number
first one.
one.
Yeah.
So she finds Nakia in Haiti, and she says, "Hey, look, we have an issue. Shuri's been taken, and a scientist has also been taken. We need to take them back." And she's like, "Well, why? Why do I need to do this?" She's like, "Well, Wakanda is in danger. There's a bigger threat that nobody knows about that is threatening our nation." So she's like, "Okay, fine." So while Wanda's doing that, trying to figure out how to get Shuri back, um, Shuri and Riri are underground. You know, they're in like this underwater cave where there's still oxygen down there, and they're being held prisoner. Well, it looks like that Namor's been saving like these dive suits that they've been taking from the divers that they kill. So he puts her in one of those dive suits, and this is where she actually sees the village, and he explains. And the most important part of this is his history too. So his mom is a human, okay?
Okay.
His mom is a human. So, and this is taking place back in 1571, back when the Spanish were trying to find, new
Is it
land.
is it is it the Spanish or the Portuguese?
Spanish.
Okay. All right. All
They
right.
said
Got it.
Spanish.
Okay. Yeah.
So this is taking part to where so the Spanish now land and they're starting to kill off the Native Americans, but by making them slaves or also like just by sheer just disease like
And we're talking like natives, North Americans, but not Aztecs.
not they didn't say the word Aztec, no.
But I mean, the dress would indicate like Native Americans instead of Aztecs, right?
It indicated like Aztec, like it seemed like Aztec, but also Native Americans.
Oh, okay. I'll save it for my questions later. That's part of my confusion because I
Sure.
couldn't tell which
So
one.
so what happens is that while these Spanish conquistadors are taking over, their lands, they're enslaving the natives that live there, and so a shaman was in a vision, received a dream from their god of this plant that's down in the ocean. So this shaman swims all the way down to the ocean, and he finds this.
The
He
plant, I
finds
guess.
this plant. So what he does is kind of just like the Wakandans. He starts doing with his little like bowl, and he melts it down all the way until it's a liquid, and he has these people drink it. And the mom and Namor's mom is very hesitant. She doesn't want to drink it. She thinks it's poison because because she's pregnant. She doesn't want to do it. The shaman
Okay.
actually the shaman actually like talks her into it, says, "Hey, this is going to save you. We just, you need to drink this for your baby." So she ends up drinking it. So what happens is like there's like 30 of them that drink this, and then they all die. Like they all show them dead on the floor, but they rise again and realize they need water. So they all really flow into the ocean, and they like start lit, and they like decide to make their new civilization underwater. So after they do that, Namor is shortly born later, and he's born underground. No one knows who his dad is, but he's born, and he's born with these little wings on his ankles. And so he says it himself. He says, "I was born with superhuman strength. I was born, half human, half." He says, "I was born half human. I was born a mutant." And he says it himself because I was born.
Okay. They're insistent. Oh, they're establishing he's the first mutant. Got it. Okay.
Sure. So this is why he can fly, and he has all these crazy powers. And then it's kind of like, okay, they're bonding. Okay, they're bonding. But while they're bonding, uh, Nikia has been doing her research, and she's actually found the cave, like with some kind of crazy GPS. She's been able to find Shuri, and she goes down, and like she's got super high tech stuff too.
Okay.
So she goes down in this cave, and she finds where they're at, and she actually has to kill one of the Talawakans, and she gets Shuri and Riri back. They're back into Wakanda. But what was also told to the Wakandans, to Rwanda and Shuri, was that if there's anybody that's not Taloakan that comes into my village,
It's war.
it's war. So that's what happens after he comes back and he finds out, oh shit, one of my people are dead, and then uh, now they've taken my two prisoners. It's on.
Okay.
So one of the crazy things is I can't remember her name, and I just feel bad. I should have been more
That's fine.
prepared. But the leader of the Thunderbolts, it was the girl from Seinfeld. Um,
Ooh, I know. I think I know who you're talking about, but keep going. Yeah, I'll look it up. Go while you're doing it. Go
well,
ahead.
the leader of the Thunderbolts is a woman. It's a chick from Seinfeld. I totally forgot her name.
But
I
did
actually
she play?
forgot her
Wasn't
name.
she play Elaine
Elaine.
in?
Yeah, it's Elaine.
Wow.
So Elaine is going to be the leader of not the leader of the Thunderbolts, but the creator. She pretty much makes the team. So she
Really?
is yeah, she's already assembling the team with the new Captain America, with Zemo, with Ghost from Ant-Man and Wasp. So she actually is a
Wow.
part. She's actually a part of the investigation on the disappearance of Riri Williams. So
Okay.
here's also like the catch of the story is that that white
Okay.
guy, the white guy for Shield, the colonizer,
Yeah.
Elaine is his ex-wife.
Julia Louis Dreyfus. Yeah, she was
Juliet
in
Louis
Cyber.
Dreyfus. So
Yeah.
Juliet Louis Dreyfus is the colonizer's ex-wife. So
Ex-wife. Okay.
yeah, so they're making this into like like um, a weird
I know.
love triangle,
Okay.
you know, issue. So what happens is that so they're trying to find. So the government is still trying to find Riri Williams
Okay.
because they need her. They need to find out where she's at. You know, now what Namor is doing, he's now getting his army prepared to fight the Wakandans.
Wakandans. Okay.
Okay, so this is the also in the trailers you see it right away. He starts going. They go over there and they don't even flood the entire Wakandan village. They just flood a little bit of the village, and this is
Even
where
even under into the dome, they still flooded it.
so they only flooded very little of the village. They didn't flood a lot. But what happened is that so you'll see there's a part in the movie where you'll see Namor. He's flying up to where I guess where the king stays. The
The big windows are, right? Okay.
yes, up
Yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So he flies up there and he sees Rwanda and he tells her, he goes, I warned you.
I
I
told
told
you.
you. I told you I would kill you and I would destroy your village. So and he's looking right at her face and she's like, whatever, like she's standing her ground. He flies down real quick and they have like these really weird like aqua water balls, like explode like bombs that they make down in
Okay.
Taiwan. So he has a whole handful of these and he throws them. He throws them at the window and they break through the window and what it does is like it floods that entire room. So it floods
It's
the entire room.
vibranium defenses.
Yeah. Well, everything they have is made out of vibranium too. So vibranium, it's like Star Wars with you know,
Good analogy, man. Go ahead. Go
you
ahead. Go
know.
ahead.
So like, cause like the Mandalorians and the Jedi's, they can fight with their weapons and they pretty much cross each other out.
Okay.
So so since he has something by vibranium and they have vibranium, so it smashes through the window, and so Riri Williams is right with her when he does this. So everything's flooded in the room. They're drowning. Rwanda goes and saves Riri, and then as she's saving Riri, she's swimming up too. And then once they get to the top, they see there's the guards, the rest of the Dora Milaje find Rwanda and Riri, and they pull them out of the water, and they try to revive them, but they can't revive uh, the queen, so she dies.
Oh, okay. So it's not an actual murder. You can't swim. Okay.
No, she swims. She saved her life. She actually sacrificed her life for Riri Williams. Is what it was. It's more of a sacrifice, a
Okay.
selfless sacrifice. So Shuri, when the Dora Milaje was there, she witnessed her mom die as well. So she's already witnessed everyone dying. Blah blah blah. This and that. She's destroyed. Like she's destroyed. So after this, the Wakandans, Shuri starts her plan. Like, hey, this is what we're gonna do. Blah blah blah. So Riri Williams starts building her new robot machine, which looks like shit. And then, Shuri starts her plan on how to stop Namor and all of the Wakandans.
Mhm.
So it's so weird because like it's such a long movie, like it's really drawn out.
You're doing really good with explaining this because I mean, for 2 hours and 40 minutes, you're
Two
doing great
hours and
retaining and
40
explaining
minutes.
this.
Yeah. I mean, it really draws out. So and this is kind of just like all the main small details are being left out.
Hmm.
So Shuri has this battle plan because they get a lot of the people that were flooded out, they move them up to where um,
Mm.
Umbako is. So they all go up to where the Jabari are, and they plan there. They plan their attack. So also one of the main things is when Namor was with Shuri and telling him about his heritage and how his culture came to be, he gave her a gift from his people, from him, which is a bracelet from what his mom used to wear. And the bracelet was made from one of the original pieces of that flower that was found in in their creation. So as they're planning their attack, Shuri's like, now I have a real piece of this plant, of this herb, and I can duplicate the heart flower herb. So that's what she does. She redoes the formula and she makes another heart flower herb. So this is where she is able to recreate the herb, and then Nakia actually gives her the herb, and she drinks it and becomes the Black Panther. After she becomes the Black Panther, and you go to
I guess the
the
spirit realm or whatever,
the
the realm
spirit
of your
realm,
ancestors.
the plane, she sees Killmonger. And the reason why she sees Killmonger is that I guess it's kind of explained to where like he wanted to change Wakanda. He wanted to make it burn. He didn't want the traditional, you know, we're going to keep
Patriarchy.
we're going to keep everything to ourselves. We're not going to change the world. We're going to protect our people. That's it. What Killmonger wanted to do was share their knowledge with the rest of the people that are his color, or with the black culture. So that's what he wanted to do, and he had a lot of anger and bitterness towards Wakanda for killing his dad, and so he was bitter. So when she saw Killmonger, he kind of was like, "You're mad. You're bitter." He said, "You're bitter." He goes, um, you know. T'Challa was too noble of a person to want to go and get revenge on anyone. He was the kind of person that he's so noble he wouldn't want to hurt anyone. And he was saying like her dad would have killed Riri Williams just to protect Wakanda.
Yeah.
Like if Namor would have given him the option,
You would take it out.
he would have just killed him himself so he could just protect the people. And then I guess she kind of like feels it, like he's like he like challenges her, like, are you gonna be like your brother normal, or are you gonna be like me and handle business and change the way things are done? So then she wakes up and then this is where she finds the mask, and she gets her own suit, right? And this is where you see where she drops down from a plane um into the cave where the Jabaris are planning their attack. So they plan this attack, and so her main issue was like she knows that um, I guess Namor needs his skin to be like sort of wet,
Okay.
like he has to be at least wet or close to the ocean to be strong. You
Okay.
know, so she makes this contraption to where like it would bleed it would take the water from him, from his skin, like almost like
A
like a
dehydrator?
like a dehydrator. Yeah. So they have this huge plan. So and it seems like and they kind of speed this up toward the end. So like they plan their attack. Riri Williams has made her brand new suit, and also, they had this giant dude. The Wakandans had this giant ship just out of nowhere. It's like, dude, it's like this fucking giant. It's like the Titanic. This giant ship that they're it's in the middle of the ocean, and they're trying to draw out the Tala Wakans, and so they do. They start fighting, and it's a huge battle. They get Namor they get Namor trapped with Riri Williams because Riri Williams' machine is so awesome. Like it distracts him because it's a terrible looking suit. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it.
I think the description you told me was it was like a Fortnite player fucked a
Like
Power Ranger.
It was a Fortnite player, like weak ass Power Ranger costume. Like you had 4 years to do this. Dude, half of the time you were just in a room by yourself because of COVID, and you couldn't have figured out a better suit. Like, give me a break. All you had was time to make a badass suit, and it's not cool. But anyway, they actually trap Namor, and they get him in this little ship that Shuri's flying. It's like pretty much a dehydrator. Like he's in there, and it's like draining the water.
It turned him to a beef jerky.
Like he's super high dehydrated. Like he's dehydrated. They end up crashing on the beach, and they fight. So they're fighting. They're like really beating the shit out of each other. Like it's brutal. So it comes down to where like Namor's really hurt, and Shuri's really hurt, and it looked like almost that Namor was going to kill her and then go back into the ocean and finish off the rest of Wakanda. But obviously the hero has to survive. So she gets his strength, and she pulls the spear out of her, and she comes back.
She got stabbed with a spear?
She got speared with a vibranium spear. through her vibranium suit. Through her vibranium suit. But let's remember, Namor is a mutant, so he's got superhuman strength. I don't know how that works with vibranium. But
Wait, but
anyway,
so he stabbed her with superhuman strength with a vibranium spear through her vibranium Black Panther suit, and
yes.
she pulled that out of her
She pulled it out of
abdomen
her.
slash spine. Okay.
Yes. Uh-huh. And then so he's already like really weak. He's weak. He needs to go back into the ocean. He's on his last like breath. So she has like this explosive device planted. So while he's walking to the beach, she sets off this device and he's like he burns it. She like burns the shit out of him. Like he's burnt, like he's laying on his stomach. He looks like a fish, he's a fish out of water, really. And he's just like gasping for air, and she turns him around. She stands on his chest and was like, "Yield to me, or I'm gonna kill the rest of your people, and then you guys are finished. Yield to me, and you have our protection. We have
Wow.
yield to
Okay.
me. You have our protection. We will not tell anybody about your underground civilization, and your secret is safe with us, and you have an ally. So to save his people, he yields. So and then it like after they yield, I guess they have a few minutes to like gather their thoughts. So they come back on this other ship that just showed up from nowhere, I guess. So they're floating back. They're floating back to where the battle's taking place in the Atlantic, where the Wakandans and the Talokans are fighting like viciously on this giant boat. And so they show up, and then Namor's just like, "Our battle ends now. We're all going home." He just says, we going home." So they bow to him and they all go home. So technically now now technically the Talawakans own the Wakan owe them a favor, like their undying loyalty, because she decided not to kill Namor.
Guilty. Yeah. Oh my god.
Yeah. Oh, and I forgot to tell you Namor. So it's pronounced Namor. Namor because it's for no love. He has no love for the human race that enslaved his people. Like he felt like he was no longer loved. So that's why they call him Namor. So
I mean, isn't that is that's what there's someone saying that's is in some kind of native tongue that actually means no love.
yeah, like no amor, no amor. Like no.
It's no. Oh my god. Are you serious?
Yeah.
Namor means is no amor.
No, but not the
It's
name Namor. But that's just how they're putting it together. Namor.
okay. That is awful. Okay.
So yeah, that's how he has his name Namor, and that's how you pronounce it Namor. It's how he pronounces it in the movie. So pretty much now Wakandan has the Talawakans under their thumb because they didn't kill, Namor. So now that's pretty much the end of the movie. And then besides like the end where um, they actually arrested the white colonizer. I totally forgot his
For
fucking
what?
for giving up for telling the Wakandans where Riri Williams was. So they've taken him prisoner. So at the end of the movie, Okoyo finds him in a truck. They're actually shipping him. I think they're taking him to the underwater prison where they have the rest of the super villains. So
Okay.
so what happens is, anyways, Okoye actually like saves him from being taken to a prison, and he's in chains. This guy's in chains in the back of a car. So she opens the door. She says, "Oh, look, a colonizer in chains. Never thought I'd see the day." So pretty ridiculous, right? So
Wow. I mean, they're told. And what was the end credit scene that you told me about? I mean, we talked
so
about it. I talked about it with the viewers earlier, but what was the end credit
so
scene?
so the big spoiler warning. So the big surprise is that before Endgame, Nakia had left Wakanda. She left, didn't tell anybody. The only person that knew she left was T'Challa. So she left, and people were really sad that she left. Like Rwanda, Shuri were mad that she left without saying bye. So while Shuri is on the beach of Haiti, after she went to go visit her a year after everything had happened.
Okay.
So she went to go visit her, and then while she's actually gonna do the ritual to burn her ceremonial dressing from T'Challa's funeral, and this is where they go into a small little montage of like all of Black Panther's videos. It's pretty sad. They do the no woman no cry behind the piece, and it's very touching, right?
Okay.
So once that's over, Shuri's still crying and she's sad, and then Nakia comes onto the beach. She has a little boy with her, and she's like, "Hey, I want you to meet your auntie." And then she's like, "Oh my God, auntie." And then she says, "This is your nephew," and she tells him her name, and I think it's an army general from Haiti, Toussaint. I forget his name. Very, very important figure in the Haiti history.
Okay.
Toussaint, I think it is. So she introduces him as his name, but then she says his real name is Prince T'Challa, son of King T'Challa. And then she's like, "What?" And she's like, "Yes." She's like, "There's the reason. This is the reason why I left Wakanda and didn't tell anybody." She said,
Is it Toussaint Louverture?
"Yes." So his name is
Okay.
Toussaint. So his slave name is Toussaint. His real African name is Prince T'Challa. You know,
Wait, they
but
named him T'Challa?
his name is T'Challa. Yes,
Well, I
his name
mean,
is so
so
he's
I mean,
T'Challa.
I'm only saying this because if it's T'Chaka, which would be K, T'Challa, which would be an L. The next thing is you T'Chama with an M, but they just call
No,
him T'Challa Jr., like TJ.
pretty much he's T'Challa Jr. Yes, he's T'Challa. So she tells Shuri that she knew um, T'Challa was dying. He told her, and he told her that he wanted her to leave while she was pregnant. So when the baby was born, he wouldn't have all this pressure of now becoming the prince of Wakanda. And, at some point at a young age being forced to be king. So he asked her to leave. And so she's been in Haiti ever since. So, the little boy he sees, he says, "Hey, auntie, I hope you could keep a secret." Like tells her, "I hope you could keep a secret." So she's like, "Yeah, I will. I'll keep a secret." And that's where it is. That's where it ends because
I have a lot of issues and problems. Most of the viewers heard them. But I want to get it from the point of view that someone that's seen just about all the Marvel movies and all the series. What were problems that you had with this one in particular?
well, the real problem I had was why. I mean, obviously, I know T'Challa had died. Chadwick Boseman died in real life, so I know he was going to have to die in the movie somehow, some way. But the question is like, why was she trying to make another heart-shaped herb if he already had taken it? He was already the Black Panther. He had taken it. That's how he was able to kill Killmonger. I don't understand that. That was my big problem with it. And then also the big problem was it seemed like I didn't say much about Riri Williams because it just seemed like very rushed. Obviously,
Okay, all right.
She's gonna get her own Disney Plus show. It's already
Series,
in the
yeah.
make, but it just seemed like she was way too rough around the edges, way too cool, blah blah blah. Obviously, she's like 19 at MIT, like one of the smartest people in the world. So
Right.
so she's super smart. She's, really hard headed, stubborn, this and that. Pretty much like everybody else who becomes a superhero at a young age. And it just seemed rushed. Like it just seemed like, how are we gonna fit in another female superhero? Like it's pretty crazy, man. Besides that, I really enjoyed the movie. I enjoyed the action. I enjoyed like the the CGI was amazing. Like, dude, just like the underwater village is gorgeous. Like, even if you were to not watch the movie, just go and look at screenshots or video of just the underwater. It's beautiful. It kind of reminded me of like, have you ever seen Coco?
No, but I've seen pictures of the landscape that they had for the movie. It was actually pretty
Dude,
cool.
it was amazing with the Hispanic village and everything like that. Gorgeous.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what it reminded me of, but underwater. Because there was tons of native art. There was tons of like old school, like beautiful, beautiful, beautiful buildings and statues. Awesome. So I mean that's probably one of the best parts of the movie, which is pretty awesome. But I mean, but it just seemed Riri Williams was really rushed. I didn't like how they introduced her. I didn't like the fact. I mean, they didn't even name what he died of. You know,
Did not.
obviously we all know. But what they're doing is trying to incorporate the real situation with the fake situation.
Hmm.
So if you're gonna do that, just go all the way in. You know what I mean? You know,
Hmm.
don't make it like. I mean, maybe they did it for his family or whatnot, but it was just really. It was weird for me. I mean, it was sad, obviously, and I would never want anything like that to happen to any other person. But
Well, I was gonna say, nowhere else would they have made it this big of a thing for someone that actually died. You would have said the show goes on at the end. You say in loving memory of Chadwick Boseman.
Mhm.
You either recast the role or you say that he's gone, but you don't know where he went. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? It just what you have been saying is that he didn't actually have to die. You could have said, "Hey," um, or if you did say he died, just say he died in Endgame. It is a layup. Hey,
yeah,
he came back, but I mean, we were fighting aliens. I mean, we got vibranium for terrestrial threats, not aliens.
yeah,
And it looks like one of Thanos's goons took him out. You could have
yeah.
just said you could have shown a flashback to Endgame, and all you do is put like T'Challa's hand on the ground. You just see his hand like on the ground, and you're like, oh, he fell in battle. You
But
know what
what
I
I
mean?
think they didn't want to use any kind of like they didn't want to put anything to where like maybe he's alive, like sort of like they wanted to make sure people knew he was dead in the movie. Like in the movies, they wanted to make sure he was dead. So this is how they did it. They did the funeral and everything. So I mean,
Well, that's the other problem I have is that if you're telling me there is a funeral,
there is a
every
huge
well,
funeral.
that's what I'm saying, right? There is a funeral, and it's after Endgame, correct? And the whole world knows about Wakanda, correct?
Now they do, yeah.
Right, right. The problem I have is if you're saying that this is a big thing that he died of an illness and they're still celebrating his death, where are the rest of the Avengers? Where's Bucky Barnes at least?
Well, technically, there are no more Avengers. So, and this is going on. This is supposedly going on during Far Away from or No Way Home, and then also Thor. So this is like the time frame
Oh
going
my
on.
god.
So the main, like the superheroes that could help are elsewhere. You know.
Do they tell you this, like the time frame that this is what it is?
So unless you really watch these movies and you kind of like watch, or kind of pay attention to the year of when all this stuff is going on, this is how you'll know. You won't really know the timeline until someone actually explains it to you. But there really are no more like so during No Way Home, there really wasn't like Shield. Don Cheadle's War Machine really couldn't
Why
come
couldn't
help
he?
because you know why? Because during No Way Home, all of Tony Stark's stuff was being uh was confiscated. Do you remember they confiscated all
Oh
his
my
stuff?
god.
So in No Way Home,
No.
they confiscated all. This is how what is the it's another show that's coming on. Iron Wars is going to begin. So this is how they're going to start Iron Wars because they've confiscated all of Tony's tech because of what Peter Parker did with the time, everything, all this other stuff, and then also Thor, the one that maybe could have helped, was dealing with,
Off-world.
yeah.
Well, that's why I'm saying, if nothing else, you couldn't tell me the White Wolf.
Yeah.
He had the Wakanda card to go visit, and he was the only one that they accepted. They called him the White Wolf because I thought the White Wolves were actually going to be in this movie,
Well,
and they called him White Wolf, like, but he's not in the movie, and there's no reference to him.
you do know that during that show with the new Captain America, like the guy's going through therapy. He's trying to change his life. He no longer wants to be the white wolf. He wants to be just a regular dude. For real, man. So technically, this is why that nobody was able to help. But that's pretty much it in a nutshell. Obviously, if you want to go see the movie, go see the movie.
Hell no, not after that.
It's really long.
It was a no before. It's a hell no now.
I
No
thought
way.
I wanted to go see it again if it was going to be good, but I just don't want to go see it again.
See,
Which is pretty sad because I love Marvel movies and I love going to go see. I love the experience.
See what you've done, Marlon Disney. You've worn out the Stuntman. Okay, he can't do double features no more with y'all.
Yeah,
Too much.
you can't do it, man. Can't do it.
Is the man that's seen combat. He said, "I'd rather do another tour than watch Black Panther 2 again." You see what you've done? All right.
Yeah.
I mean, so that's a lot what we've got for our Black Panther 2 talk. Thank you so much for talking expansively and extensively about that, because yeah, my head is all over the place with the problems that I have with it. At least you're letting us know the issues that you saw with it, because there are a lot. If you guys didn't catch my thoughts and feelings on it, or mine, or Abomination AJ's, check out the Heroes No Capes podcast, episode 32 that we did on that. But hey, how are we doing on time for you right now?
We're good, man. We're okay.
All right, let's bleed it over to sports now. That's actually why I got the hat on, repping the Cowboys jersey, and that's why the Stuntman is actually rocking his San Antonio gear, because he actually is a native San Antonian, even though he's living in Houston. So we are going to switch gears today because the main thing we're going to be checking out is the Cowboys and the Packers are playing. So two of our favorite teams are going to be sharing the main stage, or at the 3:25 Central time frame. Let's say, by looking at the numbers we've got here, looks like the Dallas Cowboys are a two to going to win about by a 66% to about around a 34% margin on this game. The Cowboys are entering at about 6-2, and Green Bay is currently sitting at 3-5. So I know how I feel about my Cowboys, but I have to say, I have to ask Stuntman how you're feeling based on your Packers play. What hopes do you have, if any, of your Green Bay Packers pulling this one off?
So my hopes is that these guys find, just a winning attitude. Like over the last few weeks, you can see the actual frustration all these players faces during the games. You can see Aaron Rodgers, if not, as a leader, like I know you're frustrated. I know you want to win. I know you want to do this and that, but like it looks like he's just ready to just rip everybody's heads off for every mistake that they make. Obviously he's making a ton of mistakes. But he doesn't want to share the blame equally. It seems like he wants to blame the coaching staff and the general manager and everybody for not getting him receivers. The offensive line is terrible. This and that. But hey, man, this is a two-time MVP, two-time in a row. So
Super Bowl champion.
And it's just like his attitude sucks. It looks like to me, his attitude sucks. And it's feeding off to the rest of the team. You could just tell, But you just got to have this fighting attitude. Like, and if I feel they can win in Green Bay. And I'll tell you what, the Cowboys are a good team. The Cowboys could go and beat Buffalo.
Really?
In Dallas. But I tell you what,
there's no way we win it. There's no way we do the game in Buffalo.
But they could beat the best team in the league at any point during the season. But I tell you what, these are the trap games that'll beat them.
Right.
Green Bay games. Green Bay this is a trap game for Dallas.
I wholeheartedly believe that.
This is a trap game for Dallas because it looks like Green Bay has no hope. They're doing terrible. But if they can come up to play, if they can show up to game time and give the Cowboys a fight, they can win. But it's all attitude. If these guys are just going to be lackadaisical, and once a couple things go wrong, they kind of call it quits. And no, it's going to be a massacre. Cowboys going to whoop that ass.
Well, that was part of the issue I was going to say is the fact that based on your perception of Aaron Rodgers, hasn't he always been kind of prickly and it's more of something you let go when he's winning, or is it showing up more pronounced now to you?
It is something you let go when you're winning.
Okay.
You know, it and it's easy to forget about it. You know, when you have a bad game, one game, and you get destroyed, but then you go on a 3 or 4 game win streak. This has been like 3 weeks in a row where
Fair.
there's a couple of games we should have won. We lost to the Detroit Lions in Green Bay. Like, dude, what are we doing here? And then, and it's more. You see the frustration, you see the anger, you see what's going on the sidelines, the interviews, all that stuff. Like, it wasn't that way a couple years ago. If they took a really bad loss, they took their punches and said, you know what, we'll come back next week. Now it's kind of like they're calling each other out. Oh well, so it's this
Yeah,
you
I
know, the
heard about that. Yeah.
receivers need to stop making more mistakes. It's they're playing the blame game, and you could tell no one really wants to
Okay.
take them.
I
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
that was what I was gonna say. I mean, it sounds like you're in a situation to where you've had a longer tenure than the coach, so he can't tell you nothing. You've had a longer tenure than your wide receiver, so they can't tell you nothing. But I mean, I'm trying to figure out who's gonna turn around and say, "Hey, you got to produce, bro." Like you're. We checked out. We'll talk about their contracts later on, but I mean, he absorbed a lot of their cap space.
And you know what? And here's the crazy thing about this is that the Green Bay Packers were willing to pay Devontae Williams. He declined. He did not want
Devontae
to pay him.
Adams.
They were willing to pay him. It wasn't going to be what
Wow.
he's getting paid now. It would have been like 115, 120 million, something like that.
Okay.
He's making a ton of money in the Raiders, but he did not want to come back. And there's a reason for that. Whatever reason that is, it may have been Aaron Rodgers.
Okay. That I mean
It might have been Aaron.
that's kind of what I was thinking too. Okay, I know that you say that you're saying that this could be a trap game for the Cowboys. I just want to show you something real quickly here because I'm checking out the actual rankings for what we've got on here, right? So we're
Mm-hmm.
checking power rankings. We've got obviously Eagles. I think that's a very deceptive 9-0 that they are, but that's neither here nor there. Cowboys are currently ranked fourth, right?
Yep.
I hear that we are still in the Odell Beckham Jr. sweepstakes as I guess he's more or less he's not necessarily rehabbing from his ACL. It's more or less really healed. It's just trying to get him back into game shape, and we're still trying to sign him. What I'm assuming for the right price, even though OBJ wants a longer term deal, right?
But I'm
So
confused about this. So,
go
like,
on.
if he needs to get in game shape, what are they going to pay him for? How many games is he going to play this year?
Well, that's the other problem is the fact that depending on when you sign him, it's only my guess is like 6 weeks. Is the thing is if you're a playoff slash Super Bowl contender, the
Mm-hmm.
hope is that he's able to play those next 7 or 8 games, including the Super Bowl. The only problem is the fact that how do you give someone coming off an ACL tear a long term deal in the middle of the season?
So, not only an ACL tear, this is his second surgery on that knee. It's an
Right.
ACL repair.
Oh, because he had another one, right? To
Yeah,
yeah, he
this
said
is
that he
the
messed up the
second.
last one. Right. Okay. Right. So that's the other deal. It's like, how can you ask for a long term deal, number one, with a contender, number two, and three, want it mid season? Those things usually aren't, those things rarely happen. Like, if you got someone that's going to be an acquisition mid season and you think you're going to contender, you're either going to like the Patriots when they had Tom Brady, you're going to be joining the Bucks right around the same time period. Even if it's Dallas, like you're probably taking the vet minimum or it's going to be highly
No, he's not
incentivized.
going to sign for the vet minimum. Not at all. No way.
That's what I'm saying. I was like, I don't understand I don't know how you give someone a huge deal when they're coming off an ACL tear. You're going to want guaranteed money, I'm assuming, and
He
then you're
wants
going
a
to
two
want
or 3 year deal.
right. Well, the thing is, the team you just won a Super Bowl championship with isn't willing to give you that deal. So if they're not going to give you that deal, I can't go over that and reach in
Yeah.
hopes that you'll take it. Do you know what I mean? I
Yep.
mean, for me, if I were him, I would go to San Francisco because it's like you don't have to be a number one or even a number two.
He, he's,
You can
he can be the number 3.
He'd be number 3.
Well,
And
actually, he'd be number 3 behind Kittle and then Debo Samuels. Actually, he'd be
well,
4
I'm
because
for
McCaffrey.
CMC, yeah, because of CMC, he's be the 4th best option. But it would be bonkers to see that offense.
Dude,
Do you know what I
but
mean?
the players these days, they want their cake and eat it too. You know,
Exactly, and yeah.
which
Go
is
ahead.
something rarely ever happens. But and here's the bad thing: if you get your cake and eat it too, you're either going to hurt yourself or you're either going to hurt the franchise because
Exactly. So
it's not a good thing.
right. So I mean, one of the teams that they said that was kind of in the running was Green Bay Packers, and we're looking at them. They were technically 19th before they had their last loss. Now they're down to 22nd,
And
and
here's the
so
deal.
go ahead.
Here's the deal. So he wants his cake and eat it too. That would be a perfect place for him because he would automatically the number 1 receiver.
Yeah.
They'd overpay for him, which is what he wants them to do is overpay. He'd be number 1, but the whole thing is he probably doesn't want to live in Green Bay, Wisconsin. So you can't have your cake and eat it too. You know what I mean?
Bro, the last thing I'd want coming off of knee surgeries is to play someplace cold.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
in
Like,
the
he did that
snow.
in New York. Like, there's no way. Like, they purposely have stadiums with no dome on purpose in Wisconsin. There's no way at all I'd be able to be up for that. Plus, I don't see him as the kind of guy that would let something that Aaron Rodgers says slide.
Right.
I mean, that's why Eli Manning was a perfect teammate for him, because Eli was just even keel and didn't really say anything too controversial.
And he
You know
was
what I mean?
already towards the end of his career when once OBJ got, they'd already had 1, 2 chips, so you couldn't tell Eli anything.
Right. So, and even when he opened his mouth, it wasn't anything too controversial, and he wasn't really putting anyone down. So it kind of worked. Even when he played with Stafford's a pretty chill dude, and he was with a new team. So what could he say?
But
Everyone knows.
he was also in the same boat. He had just left his old team that he'd been playing with. I mean, he was still trying to earn his stripes as well.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. Like, for him, LA was the best option. And I say, if you're going to come back, I would go back to the Niners and go ahead and get in Kyle Shanahan's system while they're actually making a run. Kansas City, I don't know, because you would be a weapon. It's just the fact that
They have so many.
You said what?
They have so many weapons. I mean, they got
have so many, right. You don't know if you'd be a decoy or you'd be running the main play. So it's like it's gonna be an ego killer if you go to Kansas City.
He'd be the decoy for Kelsey because
right.
Kelsey's the go-to guy. Plain and simple.
Right. Unless you like running wind sprints, that's all. You're running a go route to clear out for the flat or the under route.
That's it.
Right. I don't know if he feels like doing that, but I think that if he goes to Green Bay, it's going to be way too much pressure. Too much pressure, too fast, and it's already cold. And
because you see how Aaron Rodgers acts with these players that mess up a play. What if OBJ messes up a route because he doesn't know the play call? He misses,
Oh, no.
We're going to start throwing more shade at the receivers. I don't see it.
I think he'll let it slide one time. However, from what I've been hearing from Undisputed, the receivers in general love the mystique and the aura of OBJ. So I think the last thing they're going to let Aaron Rodgers do is talk about their idol. Like,
but
hey, you're not going to talk about OBJ like that. You can tell us that because we're rookies, but don't play with OBJ like that.
But how would you feel if he goes to play for the Cowboys? What do you think? How do you think he would fit there? Because that's a big talk that the Cowboys are gonna overpay for him.
I would say number one, Jerry Jones isn't going to overpay for him, because for him, it's like, this is payment enough. Putting that on your helmet is enough. That's the payment, right? There's no state income tax, so you're maximizing whatever you're going to get. It's easy to live out here. It's generally warm. My stadium is domed. You're going to get possibly your second Super Bowl in 2 years. You're going to be the second coming of Deion Sanders. Like, you win a title for our rival, you come over and you win a title for us. We haven't seen that since Deion. But Jerry Jones is not going to overpay for him, number one. Number two, if he does sign, I need CeeDee Lamb to come off that 88. You need to give that to OBJ. That's no longer yours. I don't care what number you have. You can't have 88 no more.
They should just retire 88. That's my deal.
Okay. Well, the thing is that according to the way I think that Jerry Jones thinks, his numbers are designations, right? So even though Ezekiel Elliott's at 21, that's the flash that Dion had. So you get 21. For 88, it was supposed to be my number one guy. Where's 88? So everyone knows when you see this number, you know I'm the guy. CeeDee Lamb is coming up off that 88 if OBJ comes because he can't. Well, Michael Gallup has 13.
Yeah.
And I think Turpin has number 2.
Yeah.
And so I think he had number. Didn't he wear? He wore number 9. What number did he wear in LA? 13.
Yeah, 13.
So yeah, Gallup wears 13. So you can't use that number. CeeDee Lamb wears 88. So, but I'm saying between those two, I'm gonna be like, yo, CD, I'm gonna pay you like $500,000 cash right now to come up off that jersey because I need it. I'm the new
But
88.
overall, do you think Dak could be able to get him the ball?
Not really, no. Unless OBJ plays slot, no, because he had a hard time getting the ball to Dez, and Dez is a bigger body receiver, and all you do is throw up and go get it. Amari Cooper was probably the best target he's ever going to get because he ran precise routes, and even being the underside of 6 feet, could actually go up and go get a jump ball.
Dude, Amari's having a good season.
I know. That's why I'm saying there was no reason to let him go. You could have let him play this last season out.
Amari's having a good
season. Yeah, you sold too low. Like the way he's been playing, that's not. You got what, a 6th round pick for that? No, you totally messed that up. You know? So I mean, I see at least this being more of a game where the defense comes through for us again. I'm predicting at least 2 sacks for Micah Parsons. We're gonna go.
I think at least 4 sacks for the game.
I give you 2, and I give you 1 DeMarcus Lawrence and 1 Dorrance Armstrong, I think. So I give you a total of 4, but I say that Micah's are going to be one of the first and last sacks of the game that you'll see, with a mid with DeMarcus Lawrence, and then 1 maybe towards the late 3rd quarter when we need to from Dorrance Armstrong.
It's just so crazy, man. This is a trap game. You don't know how Green Bay is coming. They may show up. It just depends. They may show up, or they may just not show up.
Yeah, Dallas is coming off a bye, so I wholeheartedly believe that this is a trap game for us. I'm going off of wishful thinking and the strength of our defense, but I don't know how we're going to play coming off a bye week and going north to cold weather.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, I mean, that kind of, rounds us to like the last thing that we wanted to talk about, which is more about aging athletes taking up a lion's share of their team's cap space. And we kind of did this with both basketball and football. So go ahead, let me know who you were thinking about when you had this in mind.
Well, obviously with football, Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady. Tom Brady is technically not making a lot of money, but he's 45 years old.
Which one do you want to start with? You want to start with Tom Brady?
Yeah, we'll start with Tom Brady. Tom Brady, first of all, football is not meant for people to play past their 40s. It's a very violent, crazy game that it's a young man's game. You shouldn't have to want to keep playing at 40. I don't know what you're trying to prove. It's ridiculous. And you can see when you watch all the media and all the TV shows that just because Tom Brady's still playing, they don't want to crown new best players. They want to still keep Tom Brady in the mix. He's playing like crap. He looks like a 45-year-old man playing football. Like, it looks like his arm's not there, his legs are not there. I mean, it looks – obviously he's got a lot of shit going on in his personal life, but, man, it looks bad. And here's the whole deal. They've signed this guy. They pretty much made this team for Tom Brady. So they can't – even if Tom Brady were to get hurt and someone else step in, this isn't their offense.
Not
this
anymore,
is Tom Brady's offense. They're running this specifically for Tom Brady because this is what he knows and this is what he likes to run. If they were to bring in somebody else, they'd be like, we can run the same offense, but it's not going to work the same because it's not Tom Brady under center. He's pretty much hamstringing the rest of the team or the rest of that offense because it doesn't look like he can throw the ball anymore, and he can't move around anymore. Like, he's literally like a sitting duck. If anyone gets back there, he's a sitting duck. He's not getting away from anyone.
It's slightly like watching Peyton his final year playing football, the year that they actually won the Super Bowl. It's kind of like that.
The year after, Peyton was actually benched.
Toast, yeah. Yeah,
Peyton
so, go ahead, I'm sorry.
My next person was Aaron Rodgers. He looks like he should have been benched a couple of games ago.
So But so not to interrupt you on this one. So I was talking to Shiro about this because I'd heard the theory, right? So if you look at his contract, it's
Yeah,
essentially the veterans minimum, right? 1.12 million.
yeah,
Technically, he got the signing bonus, so it makes it up to 15 million, correct?
yeah.
So you told me about the stuff about this personal life, right? I'm not saying this is proven at all. This is just the rumor or the theory of it, right?
Hmm.
So the assumption is that Tom Brady and Giselle Bunchkin know that they're headed towards an amicable divorce, correct?
Hmm.
They
Yep.
remember that they were saying that he almost was about to sign that TV deal,
Ten
right?
year TV deal. Yeah.
10 years, 375, right?
Yep.
Okay, right. So the thing is, if you sign that deal and then you get divorced, well, Giselle's coming in the pockets for that money,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So they said that if you sign the deal for the veterans minimum and it winds up being $15 million, and then you sign the divorce, well, then she only gets the money from that. So if he retires at the end of this year and then takes the deal, then that money's not a part of the divorce settlement.
My whole argument about that is, hey, you're two billionaires, whatever the hell you guys are worth. Just take what you
Bro,
got and walk away.
bro,
Why keep
bro,
fighting for this money? Is how much money do you actually have?
bro. All I'm saying is that the penny can run deep the more money you have. And the
Dude, it's
last thing you want
crazy.
is for someone to come up and be like, hey, I heard you got that deal. Kids need more money for school. Bro, did you know
Yeah,
their houses are literally across the pond from each other or across the ocean from each other?
it's crazy, man.
The kids can like jet ski to go see dad or jet ski back to see mom. So I mean that was an interesting theory that I'd heard. Not to me, it makes sense. I mean, if you wanted to be like, well, hey, I need my money moving forward to be my money. Well,
Yeah.
then even though she's worth more money than he is, she said that technically he was her crush
Oh,
before they met, right? And so
yeah.
I forget who she was dating before. She was dating Leonardo DiCaprio before Tom Brady.
Wow.
So then she meets him after, and it's like you got the kids, but I mean, at this point, it is what it is. So we can move on to at this point. You said we wanted to look at Aaron Rodgers, right?
Yeah.
All right.
So he's making a ton of money. What is it, like almost 50 million a year?
Yeah. So I mean, if you check it out, we're looking at it's a weird thing. So it's a low base, high signing bonus. So I mean, at this point, I think part of it's probably maybe the extensions that he did sign, but it's a 1.15 mil base with a 24.481 signing bonus, right? The thing is like his cap it's 28 million, and like but his yearly cash is like 42 million. And if you look on here, this yearly cash, like it's 42, 59, 49, 20.9, and then 15.05. He's
Yeah.
also got some an option on here for some of
Yeah.
these that actually, I guess, maybe might be an escalator or might add to the overall cash value. But we're talking that this deal runs for him to the point that he's 43.
So in the whole thing is like about 8, 9 years ago, he's worth this money. You know, I mean, yeah, granted, he's still the reigning MVP, but he's fallen off a cliff to this year. You know, whether it's the receivers or not, he's a sitting. He can no longer move the way he moves. He's
No.
got a real. You can just tell his attitude sucks. Like his attitude sucks on the field. Like he has. It looks like his leadership is just dwindled down to nothing. And
Well, so can I ask you this then? Was in your mind, should you have traded him this offseason?
should have traded him or just you know extended him one more year. Like it didn't have to be. I mean, obviously he probably wouldn't have signed, but that's the chance you take. You have another guy sitting there, Jordan Love. He's going to have to learn eventually. You know, obviously what it. So this is what year three he's sitting.
Year three?
Yeah, dude, Aaron Rodgers did the same thing behind Brett Favre.
I think he
You know,
sat
it
for what,
just
four
turns
years?
out, yeah, 3 or 4 years, and it just turns out all the last two fucking Packer quarterbacks are assholes. It's fucking crazy, man. But I just the main point is, it looks like he's just past his prime. Football is not made to be played in your 40s. You know, these
Not at
guys have made
all.
tons of money. These guys have made so much money. And these aren't quarterbacks that haven't won or proven anything. Tom Brady, seven fucking championships, what, 5 or 6 MVPs? He's
Yeah.
thrown for 100,000 yards. What else do you have to prove? A
I
hundred?
want.
Are
I
you
will
kidding
say.
me?
I will say. As far as like injuries, I don't mind if I don't know if you're comfortable telling this, but you told me you had what the triple death knee
Yeah,
injury.
the
So
unhappy triad.
right. So Stuntman had the unhappy triad, which means he tore his ACL, MCL, and PCL all at once. And you
Yes,
told me what how like what would and you told me what your recovery was like for that, right?
yes.
Like
It
what
was
was that
it,
like?
it was grueling. It was like for me, it was a year, and that's because I was in the military and I didn't have the trainers. I did my own physical therapy, and
Mhm.
I was on my own. But for these dudes, like I would hate to see these guys go out on one of their last games on a stretcher because they couldn't get away from a younger linebacker or whatever. It's just it's
Well,
and the longer you play, the more chances you have of this stuff
getting
happening.
hurt.
And
Exactly.
obviously, I don't play in the NFL. I don't make that much. I don't make the money they make, and I guess it's worth it. But dude, come on, man! Like
Mhm.
you're it's you're and it just seems like these franchises are just like they're in a situation where they can't get out of. They've already doubled down on whatever they're doing,
Bro,
and and they're
I
stuck.
remember
They're
I
stuck.
remember playing football when I was 15. I got hit. So this is what happened. It was a practice. The season was technically already over. We were about to do like getting into spring training
Yeah.
before the football season started up in August, but it was like maybe like March or April. And I remember like I was a fullback on a scout play, and I wasn't supposed to even get the ball. I ran up the middle, got hit one time, and ran. I was running towards the locker room, and the coach was like, "Where are you going?" I'm like, "Got free calculus cowork coach," and never came back. That was it. One hit. I'm
Hell
like,
yeah.
nah,
That's awesome.
I got somewhere to be that ain't here right now. So, but
But
yeah,
also what I want to do is so like with the NFL teams that we just talked about, very important, very vital to what we're talking about in NFL. But this is also happening in the NBA with LeBron James. The dude is year 20. He's trying to play to beat Kareem's record, which
mm,
fine. Whatever you want to do, it's your career. You want to be the best. Hey, cool. But this dude looks like a shell of himself. He doesn't play defense the way he does. He can, he scores, but the NBA, anyone can score if you're in the NBA now. There's no defense. No one plays defense in the NBA anymore.
and that is a
And he's
huge
so
salary
injury
he's
prone.
getting. That's like what? This we're looking at 44 million here.
44 million. Dude, and not only so they have three uh max contracts on their roster. Anthony Davis and Westbrook.
Westbrook.
Westbrook is
No,
33 years
Westbrook was
old.
right. Westbrook was right.
Westbrook is 33 years old and he looks like he just fallen off a cliff already.
His shot. He's
His
looked
shot is
better.
broken.
He's looked better since he came off the bench. I will
Yeah,
say
true.
that since he took a humble pill and finally decided to come off the bench, he's done a little bit better. I guess the only thing for me is the fact that I know that part of why he's still playing is so that he can play with his son,
Yeah.
which fine, I understand, whatever. Only problem is for me, I would retire for a year, and then when my son comes back, then I sign with whatever team he gets drafted by, and then we just play the season together, and then that's it. That's what
So
I would.
so I think the reason why he doesn't want to retire because he wants to make sure his son gets drafted. Whether he says it or not, because his son is not one of the best players in the country right
No,
now. There's other
no.
players better than him. But if he's on a roster and he says, "Hey, if you're on, if you guys sign my kid, guess what? You get 2 for 1." So
Well, the
that's
thing is, well, that's the thing is like, wouldn't you just sit out and wait to see see your son goes to, instead of still playing and then forcing a trade?
I think he's trying to do the thing where he looks like he still wants to play and he has like this passion for basketball because it doesn't look like he wants to play at all. He wants to beat this record and then call it quits. It looks like because his attitude looks terrible. He's all and it's funny because he looks like he's always supporting his teammates. I guarantee you, once that camera's off, he's up
Oh
in the
yeah,
manager's, he's up in the owner's office screaming to get rid of some of these dudes. Screaming. I know, but the thing about LeBron is he has so many people protecting him.
that's
you
true.
know, None of
That's
this
true.
stuff gets out. None of this stuff gets out. Anything, nothing gets out. So,
I will say part of the problem is he greenlit all of these trades, and it's like, well, now we're hamstrung by your decisions, and we can't necessarily offload. They're not even technically assets; they're liabilities at this point. Like we can't get assets for liabilities,
So
so we're kind of stuck with your decisions.
And here's the thing: I'm sure that some of your viewers they watch LeBron and they're like, "Oh, what's this guy talking about? This guy's a scorer. He can still score. He's averaging 25 points a game. What he's doing, it's called empty calories. These points mean nothing. He is no good at the end of the game. Not for defense, not for free throws, and not for big clutch shots. So I mean, if you're looking for the Lakers to go somewhere in the playoffs or
No,
even in the play-in games, he's
no,
not
it's not.
his legs
They're
his legs aren't going to make it. Like,
no.
and I'm not saying out of injury. I'm just saying out of pure fatigue and
Yeah.
age.
They're
This is
what 3 and they're 3-10 right now too. So it's
so
like,
with all the playoff games he's played in his career, he's actually played 5 seasons more with all the playoff games he's played. So just consider this. So 20 regular seasons, and then with all the playoff games that he's played, that's like 5 extra
5
seasons.
extra
So
seasons.
it's,
And
so it's like year 25 for this guy.
did not think about that. That actually makes sense. It's technically year 25 because of all the extra games, because of all the extra seasons. Okay, I did not know that. I mean, that, guys, is why we have Stuntman on, because he brings the facts, figures, data, statistics, and then he'll actually let you know how it really is. But I know that we've pretty much kind of run out of time for the topics we've got for today. But Stuntman, again, please shout out your gamer tag and how we can find you, at least on Instagram as well, sir.
Stuntman underscore 0311. Catch me on some Warzone 2.0. Catch me on some God of War. And my Instagram is lray0311. I'll see you guys.
All right, guys. Hey, that's it for us. E.G.O out.